Hello and welcome to Top Story on France 24. Less than a week after his appointment, George Mitchell is already in the Middle East. Obama has warned his special envoy is not there for photo ops, but to achieve real progress. After Egypt, Mitchell will be visiting Israel. He'll also make a stop in the West Bank, even though he will not be venturing into Gaza or meeting with Hamas officials. But what is striking is the dramatic change in tone of the new American administration. From day one, Barack Obama has been reaching out to the Muslim world. His first move as president was to call Arab and Israeli leaders. He then chose an Arabic outlet, Al Arabiya, to give his first interview. So how are all these changes perceived in the region? And this, while the ceasefire between Hamas and Israel looks increasingly shaky. Can Mitchell's tour in the region change anything in the short run? Well, to try and answer these questions, I'm now joined by Georges Malbruno, Middle East correspondent for Le Figaro. Mr. Malbruno, thank you for joining us. Now, in this interview to Al Arabiya, Obama said, I'm quoting him, "The language we use has to be the language of respect. I have Muslim members of my family. I have lived in Muslim countries. Never ever before has an American president reached out in such a dramatic way to the Muslim world." How is this, you think, being perceived over there?
I think it's, as you said, a huge change. The US president doesn't talk now as president of the West, which are automatically look good against the Muslim countries, automatically bad after the 11th of September. So the Muslim world is ready to shake hands with President Obama. They notice the change of tone. They notice that he's going to go to Malaysia or Indonesia in either the first trip in the Muslim world. They think that there is a big opportunity for the US and also for the Muslim world, for the Muslim leaders to change, to fill the gap which has been, appeared after for the last 10 years. But they are waiting also not only speech, but acts and fact on the ground, and especially on the issue of the Israeli-Palestinian peace process. So they are ready to talk, to give positive answers to Obama, President Obama, but they are not ready just to hear beautiful words. They want facts and acts on the ground.
And the main actor on the ground is George Mitchell. He is a very experienced negotiator. Mm-hmm. It has to be said his mum is Lebanese. This also obviously is playing in favour.
He was sent by Bill Clinton at the end of the 2000 to try to fill the gap between the Palestinians and the Israelis when the second Intifada was launched. He made a quite tough report, the Mitchell report, in spring 2001, calling each parties, Israelis and Palestinians, to stop violence for Palestinians and settlements for Israelis. The Israelis are a little bit skeptical about the personality of George Mitchell. His trip is interesting. As you said, he's going to Cairo. He's going also to Saudi Arabia, which means that Saudi Arabia also regain, for Obama at least, a pivotal role in the Middle East. He's not going to Qatar, which has been the rising star in the last years, which means that the main actors are Saudi Arabia, Egypt. We come back to the previous order in the Middle East.
And it's important, you mentioned Saudi Arabia. They have come forward with a plan calling for, basically getting back to the pre-67 border in exchange for recognition of Israel. Is this a plan that the Americans are taking seriously?
I think they should take it seriously. Of course, this plan, the problem with this plan is for Israelis, it was a non-starter negotiation process. But it's hard to imagine that Arab world can do more than to offer peace with Israel. 22 Arab countries offering peace with Israel in exchange of Israelis' withdrawal from West Bank and Gaza Strip. I think it's a very good opportunity. It's a golden opportunity for Israelis. Ariel Sharon didn't want this plan. Livni is skeptical, etc. But I think the Obama administration realized that okay, they focus on the Israeli-Palestinian peace process. That's most probably the key of the peace in the region, and not, as it was said in 2002, the road to Jerusalem path through Baghdad. But they have to see the region as a global entity, and it's the reason why this initiative can be very helpful to make peace between Israelis, Palestinians, but also to make peace between Israelis and Syria, and to offer to have another Middle East.
Now we're talking long term. Now in the short run, as for the truce, the very shaky truce between Hamas and Israel, what can Mitchell achieve there?
No, Mitchell will not achieve anything. He will listen different parts, the Israelis, the Palestinians. He will not talk, of course, with Hamas. He will not go to Gaza, but he will listen. The question mark is, in 10 days we'll have a new Israeli prime minister, and the polls after the war in Gaza gives Benjamin Netanyahu as the next prime.
That's not the favourite scenario of Washington.
But Mitchell can also, by being in Jerusalem, he can. I don't know if he will do it. He could send a signal to the Israelis to ask them to choose the right leader in order to make peace with their neighbors.
Version.
The moderate version, yeah. But we have to wait until the next Israeli prime minister, because with Benjamin Netanyahu, I doubt that this vision of peace in the Middle East can be achieved, because we all know that he has a tough reputation, and he's not ready to answer to the national aspirations of the Palestinians.
Now, this was a war between Israel and Hamas, and obviously Mitchell is not speaking to Hamas. Is there any planning thing for the Americans to start having contacts with Hamas?
No, I don't think. Of course, he will not talk to Hamas, but he knows that there is a debate in Europe, in France, whether we like it or not. We have to make peace with all the Palestinians, not half of the Palestinians. And soon or late, we'll have to talk to Hamas. But of course, I think that the best way for the Americans would be a strong Israeli prime minister ready to say, okay, we are going to talk to Hamas, as they did, in fact, in the past, discreetly. But we have to wait for this very sensitive issue.
Mr. Malbranche, thank you very much for your analysis. Thank you for watching Top Story on France 24. Have a very good day. Bye-bye.